After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
Do you think that the ceasefire that was signed between Israel and Hamas is going to last? Well, that question can be put on the side burner just for today because the hostages have been returned home, which is a day of celebration in and of itself. So let's watch this clip over here with President Trump addressing the Knesset in Israel. We'll watch this clip and then we'll talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor. Nice place. Very nice place. Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, esteemed members of the Knesset and cherished citizens of Israel, we gather on a day of profound joy, of soaring hope, of renewed faith, and above all, a day to give our deepest thanks to the Almighty God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity. This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. I want to express my gratitude to a man of exceptional courage and patriotism, whose partnership did so much to make this momentous day possible. You know who I'm talking about. There's only one. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Bibi, please stand up. And he is not easy, I want to tell you. He's not the easiest guy to deal with, but that's what makes him great. That's what makes him great. Thank you very much, baby. Great job. And let me also convey my tremendous appreciation for all of the nations of the Arab and Muslim world that came together to press Hamas to set the hostages free and to send them home. We had a lot of help. We had a lot of help from a lot of people that you wouldn't suspect, and I want to thank them very much for that. It's an incredible triumph for Israel and the world to have all of these nations working together as partners in peace. And it's pretty unusual for you to see that, but it happened in this case. This was a very unusual point in time, a brilliant point in time. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change, and change very much for the better. Like the USA right now, it will be the golden age of Israel and the golden age of the Middle East. It's going to work together. I'd like to thank several great American patriots for their invaluable help in getting something done that almost everyone thought was absolutely impossible. We were wasting our time. So many people said, "You're just wasting your time." But we weren't, because we had talented people working with us, and we had people that love your country, and frankly, people that love the region. They love the Middle East. I want to thank my friend Steve Witkoff. You know, Steve was chosen by me. He never did this before, but I knew him as a few things. He was a great businessman, but I know a lot of great businessmen, to be honest with you. He had tremendous negotiating skills, but I know a lot of people that negotiate pretty well, although it is an art. But I tell one story because he was so involved, and then we called in Jared. We need that brain on occasion. We got to get Jared in here. We got to get a certain group of people, but Steve started this all by himself. I call him Henry Kissinger, who doesn't leak, okay? Henry is a big leaker. He leaked. Steve doesn't leak. Steve just wants to get the job done. He wants to do what's right. But I'll give you just a quick story, because as you know, he's working on the war with Russia and Ukraine, a war that would have never happened if I were president. A shame. 7,000 young soldiers a week are being killed. More than that this last week. It's a shame that it never happened, but it did happen, and we won the race, and I took over this horrible war that's been raging, and I thought it would be easily settled. I thought it was a hell of a lot easier than doing what we just did very successfully with Israel and a lot of other people. But this came first, and we'll get that one. But I set up a meeting for him to meet with President Putin, thinking it would be a 15 or a 20-minute meeting. Steve had no idea about Russia, had no idea about Putin too much, didn't know too much about politics, wasn't that interested. He was really good at real estate, but he had that quality that I was looking for, and I didn't see it around in too many ways. And I set up the meeting with Putin, and I called. I said, is Steve finished yet? That was about a half an hour into the meeting. No, sir, he's not. He's still inside. This is in Moscow. I said, well, how's he doing? I don't know, sir. He's still inside. I called up an hour later. Let me speak to Steve. Sir, he's still with Putin. He's with President Putin. I said, wow, that's a long meeting, 1 hour. I called up an hour later. He was still with Putin. 3 hours later, he was still with Putin. 4 hours later, he started to get the word that he was going to be coming out soon. And in 5 hours, he came out. I said, what the hell were you talking about for 5 hours? And he says, just a lot of interesting things. We're talking about a lot of interesting things, including what he went in there for, but you can't talk about it for 5. You can talk about it for a certain period of time, and you know what you're getting. But that's a talent. That's a talent where you can do that. Most people I'd send in, number one, they wouldn't be accepted. Number two, if they were, the meeting would last 5 minutes. And that's what happens with Steve. Everybody loves him. They love him on this side. They love him on the other side. And he really is. He's a great negotiator because he's a great guy. So thank you very much, Steve. Very much. And let me also give a very special thanks to someone who truly loves Israel. In fact, loves it so much that my daughter converted. My daughter converted. I didn't know this was going to happen. And Ivanka's here. And Bibi, you do know this was not in the cards for me. You understand that. And she is so happy, and they are so happy. At least I think they're happy. If they're not, we have a big story, right? No, they have a great marriage, and they get along great. They're best friends. They have a very special relationship. But Jared has been so helpful. He really did something very special. He established the Abraham Accords with a group of very wonderful people. I like calling it the Avraham Accords, because people that, right? Avraham. It's so cool. It's so much sort of nicer, you know, the Abraham versus the Avraham. I just don't want to sound too sanctimonious when I do it, so, you know, I sort of split it up. This way we keep everybody happy. But we have some very great talent, and they have no excuses for anything that's taken place, because we had some unbelievably good people working on this. And then you're going to add a man named Marco Rubio, who is also here. That's right. And I have a prediction that Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it. And he and I, you know, we really fought it out. You remember, he was tough. He was nasty. Who the hell thought this was going to happen, Marco, right? And now I'm saying he's going to go down as the greatest. He will. He was always smart and sharp, and people respect him. And then we have somebody who's young, but an unbelievable leader. I saw it a long time ago, and he's turned out to be even better than we thought. Right, Susie? I think even better. And that's Pete Hegseth, who is our Secretary of War, formerly Secretary of Defense. And as you know, we decisively won World War I. We decisively won World War II decisively. And everything in between and everything before it, we won everything. And then they had the brilliant idea of changing the name from war, you know, it was war, to defense. And with that went a certain thinking. And we fought in a very politically correct way after that. We always had the strongest military, and now we have a stronger military than we've ever had before. Because of my first term, I've totally rebuilt the military, every aspect of it. But we have, if you think, we settled 8 wars in 8 months. I'm now including this one, by the way, if that's okay. They may say, well, that was quick. Because yesterday I was saying 7, but now I can say 8. The hostages are back. The hostages are back.
And that's correct. The hostages are back. And whatever you think of the rest of the deal, whether you think it's going to continue to stage 2 and stage 3 and so forth, if you think Hamas is going to live up to their end of the deal, all of that is put aside. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. And be that as it may. However, the hostages are back, and that is something certainly to celebrate. It is fascinating that the day in which it worked out that the hostages were returned was right before, on the Hebrew calendar, when they were abducted in the first place. So it was October 7th, 2023, but on the Hebrew calendar, it was also Shmini Atzeret, Simchat Torah, the day in which we start the Torah fresh anew. And that's when Hamas went in. It fell out on the Hebrew calendar that day, that year. Well, that starts tonight. That the Shmini Atzeret, Simchat Torah, is tonight. So we've really gone full circle, 2 full years that these hostages have been in captivity, living in the worst of conditions. But there's another symbol, I think, that is important for us to recognize, and hopefully we will all be blessed from it as well. In Jewish tradition, there is a fascinating mystical idea about the way in which God seals the destiny for every individual on planet Earth, beginning with Rosh Hashanah. So it says that on Rosh Hashanah, every person is judged, the entire world is judged, and whatever a person's destiny or fate is going to be for the year, it's written down. They're either in the book of life or otherwise. But whatever a person's going to be, whether it's in health, wealth, in life outcomes and decisions, everything is sort of set in stone on Rosh Hashanah. On Yom Kippur, 10 days later, the Day of Atonement, whatever was written is sealed, right? So it was written, but it could still be changed, but it's sealed on Yom Kippur, sealed on the Day of Atonement. But throughout the holiday of Sukkot, which begins 4 days after Yom Kippur, is a whole month of celebration, all as recorded in the Bible. Throughout the whole Sukkot holiday, there's still an opportunity that if something needs to be changed for the better, it can go throughout the entire holiday of Sukkot, known in the Bible also as the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths. And the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, the last day of Sukkot, which is today, which is called Hoshana Rabbah, which means the day of great salvation. It is called the final sealing day. So what was written on Rosh Hashanah and what was sealed on Yom Kippur can still theoretically, if it needs to be changed, if the fate of a person is still, it's still on the table to be changed for the better until the last day of Sukkot, until Hoshana Rabbah. And so today we see that that God has sealed for these hostages and sealed before our eyes the very concept of salvation. We were able to witness with our own eyes the salvation of these 20 hostages rescued from captivity and now brought to freedom, brought back to their family. Again, whatever happens in the coming days, weeks, and years when it comes to the rest of this deal, that right now is on the side burner. For now, we can all rejoice together that we've seen salvation happen in front of our eyes and that Israel can welcome back these poor people that have been living in the worst of conditions for the past 2 years. So I believe that this is a good omen for all of us, and may all of us be blessed with a year where we see great salvation. May all of you be sealed for good, a year full of health, a year full of success, a year full of great relations in your families, a year just that is so wonderful, beautiful, amazing, and most importantly, perhaps peaceful in all of your lives. And so we'll be with you throughout the year and throughout the days coming ahead to report on everything that's going on. And if you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.